Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again, and I wanted to give you a follow-up video on the Mjolnir Inquisitor double arc setup with shield charge, primarily doing all of the clear speed, and charge dash with cast while channeling arc doing some of the single target. Now at this point, since the last video, it hasn't really changed too much. I've just got a bunch more levels and mapped up to about level 91, 92. Can't quite remember. And overall, it was just insane on the map clear speed, but the single target wasn't really all that I wanted it to be. And even Lightning Spire Trap didn't feel particularly good if I just wanted to shove that into the setup for pure bossing, because it was super slow on the throwdown and the damage wasn't as impressive as I was hoping, though I did manage to clear through to tier 15 Elder. Didn't even try tier 16 Guardians because ultimately I wasn't too happy with the character as a package, since I definitely knew it had some of the best clear speed I've had in, well, quite a long time, but not the best single target, which just felt really weird to use even. Sometimes it was decent, sometimes it was rather good, but it just felt super awkward, and I can't truly recommend a character when it's not that much of an all-round package, at least not for my own standards, because I really do prefer a character like the Double Striker that is basically a god in every aspect, while this one is just a god in the clear speed and then somewhat lackluster in the single target. So you can still follow it by all means, because I did hit level 90 in something like 19 hours, 18 hours on this character, and typically it'll take me something like 23, 24 hours to hit a level 90 character, even with all the gear and just regular mapping. This one did it a lot faster, and it was crazy on clear speed, but for my standards, not good enough as an all-around character. And I did get quite a lot of criticism about this automaton herald effect. Honestly, I don't know. I don't really see the criticism. Maybe it's just a difference of playing it compared to seeing it on video, because playing it, it's truly beautiful and it really is nice and poppy and sounds really nice. But watching it on video, yeah, maybe it's just a bit too anime or, I don't know, cartoonish as people say, but that is not something I really noticed while playing with it. So my apologies if it looks shit and made things more uncomfortable for you guys, but I was really enjoying it, and it seemed to be the best herald effect for this character's charging around compared to all the others, which I did definitely try, so I was kind of enjoying this one. Now, as you can see, the character just shield charges. Every time he shield charges, he unleashes a bunch of arcs, thanks to the Mjolnir using your socketed item, damage, skill, whatever, and it is pretty good on the clear speed. Ultimately though, yes, I think Poet's Pen probably would suit the character or this type of build better, just for the comfort of how you use it, but you can't ever hit the same sort of clear speed, I don't think, without the proper shield charge scaling. And this over here is a decent example of some single target against a tier, I don't know, 11 or 15, one of those two, just a red tier Guardian here, and this was a good solid attempt. So sometimes I'd get decent damage in, sometimes I'd have some nice cast while channeling, some good crit procs, and everything went rather well. There is a big problem in that you stand still and have to do your cast while channeling and your charge dash, and then ultimately when you unleash, the charge dash will take you somewhere as well. And in a lot of fights that can get really awkward and really annoying. This is another decent example of the cast while channeling and the charge dash, because it went fairly well. You don't have too many problems with some of these bosses, but some of them do move around too much. Some of them put you in some pretty precarious situations, and then it's really hard to come back from, because I also don't really have much leech in the form of anything. I've only really got the Atziri Flask leech, and aside from that, I can't really rely on Warlord's Mark, because it's not good against bosses anyway, but that's probably your only real other alternative. So against some of these red Guardians, the single target was just fine, if not extremely awkward, but fine. When I came across Elder, the damage wasn't too stupendous. This is the red tier Elder here. I think I missed out on some procs or some decent crit chance, and ultimately I just stand in this because I thought he was going to freeze me. He didn't, and then I get myself killed because it's kind of awkward having to dodge shit and use charge dash and sit inside this. I just die there. But yeah, you can see that charge dash, having to stand still and just non-stop channel while also planning where you're going to end up with the charge dash, ends up feeling a little shit at times. And ultimately, once I do get some good damage and some good procs, the damage really isn't too bad. It's just not very nice to use. And then once you get against some really good targets, like let's say these portals, it completely shreds and completely destroys, because that's basically just arc. So there are some good examples of single target, but mostly they're just kind of awkward. For the most part though, it wasn't too bad up until the higher tier bosses. So if you just want to have some real solid clear speed, some real solid damage, and Mjolnir isn't too costly, which it should drop back down in the next few days, then it's not too bad a character to use, and overall it was pretty fast and pretty enjoyable. Just if you're looking for the full package, as I usually am, this is not really the one you're going to be going for, as the single target and endgame reliability of the character I don't think is quite there. I think he probably could even take on the tier 16s, but it would be pretty painful and not that enjoyable. And then ultimately Uber Elder with charge dash would be just fucking forget about it. At least I wouldn't personally do it. Maybe you can think of something with it yourself, as if anything else, it's just a Mjolnir I'd character. You can use it as a template for the fact that it does work and you can build around this type of shit. So as a quick summary of the character, he did hit level 91, and I don't think there's too many differences from the last video, but I'll go over it real quick. So Mjolnir, as I said, just that's how you cast the arc, so anything socketed in there is going to give you your arc procs based off of anything you hit with it, so that is off of the charge dash and the shield charge. And in the end, I did end up running arc, added lightning damage, and increased crit strikes. I toyed around with the idea of losing crit strikes because I got something like 90 crit with it, but without it, I'm at something like 50 to 70 crit, depending on everything being up, and it just didn't feel as good. You really do want that reliable crit and shatter all the way through every single time you shield charge, so I thought the crit strikes was the way to go here, and added lightning is a really strong damage gem. As for the 5-link for charge dash, it's charge dash, hypothermia, cast while channeling, arc, and then Ellie focus. Wherever you put your Varlark and arc doesn't really make too much of a difference. I got a level 21 arc here, so I decided to proc that off of the shield charge as often as I could, and then Varlark sits in the chest socket here, and it doesn't really matter where you put it, you can use it either way, as long as you have one Varlark just for helping out on single target, because it is quite a large boost to pop your Varlark and then start proccing both your arcs off of the additional arc damage as well as the lucky hits. And aside from that, I don't think I really changed too much. 15 reduced Wrath mana reservation so that you can fit all of your auras in, have about 75 mana at this level unreserved so that you can still get all of your skills off, and that's really the only other kind of small difference. I did grab these gloves which have pretty much everything you're looking for, a bit of attack speed, some crit chance against shocked enemies, bit of dexterity. It wasn't too hard to fill out the strength in the end, so your gear ends up being rather flexible, same with the int, but you do need a few little strength pieces here or there, 1, 2, 3, and 4 I think, and the 5th one there, but a lot of strength is just not that hard to come by at this stage. But for the most part, make sure that you get plenty of additional crit multi on your jewels, because that's where a lot of our damage will come from, as well as the attack speed. So that's how we scale most of our attack speed to get shield charge moving really quickly and feeling really good. So you do need lots of attack speed throughout your jewels if you want to build something similar that has the same level of speed. So plenty of jewel sockets around, just filled out the rest of my life nodes and jewel sockets for damage and attack speed. And as well as that, I've been running Blood Rage, which gives you almost 20% attack speed, as well as the Frenzy charges. It does degen you a bit, but it makes you a lot faster throughout the mapping, which is the goal here. And hit something like 6.3k life, not too uncomfortably. But the one thing I do really want to mention is we have no leech in the build, except for the flask, and I'm running Assassin's Mark on the curse on hit here. It's probably better off for the overall health of the character to be running Warlord's Mark instead. Well, that's unfortunate. It's probably better for the overall health of the character to be running Warlord's Mark instead, so don't think I can really show you too much more here right now. We're back here, I suppose. Overall, I do think it's probably better to run Warlord's Mark somewhere instead of Assassins. Assassins is nice and all, but I don't think it's going to help the overall survivability of the character anywhere near as much as a Warlord's. Unfortunately, Warlord's Mark will still suck against bosses, so that's kind of annoying. But yeah, you can either get a Curse on Hit Warlord's Ring or sub in your Curse on Hit setup on your Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder with Warlords there instead of Assassins. So that's probably the recommendation at this point if you want to, have a solid mapping character here, but play around with the setups yourselves. Like I said, if anything else, just a template to show that Mjolnir is not completely dead and still usable, especially with the way Arc is at the moment. So for this one, guys, I'm going to bench it at level 91 or something. It felt pretty quick to get up to speed and to bench, but that's just because it mapped really fast and got through everything really fast. And I've got a lot of builds I really want to try out, so I'm probably going to try and zoom through most of them within 4 or 5 days and get to the next one as soon as possible, because I'm pretty keen to try out a lot of different things. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this one, and I'll see you next time.